Hi, happy 4th of July. Oh my goodness, what a way to end the weekend. Although, if you're lucky like I am, you get the day off after the 4th of July through your company, or maybe you're on summer break, depending on what kind of job you have. Uh, Today, actually this week, we are doing recipes from around 1776. We did the Native American last week, so we're doing kind of early colonial, well, not colonial, kind of early American, like revolutionary, because colonial would have been back a ways. Anyway, uh, so we're doing that, and we're starting off with an apple pie recipe, because everything's American as apple pie, right? This is actually one that was served, or semi-adapted from what was served at George Washington's home in Mount Vernon, and I believe possibly even at the, well, what would have been the White House before we had the White House, because he didn't have that. That was a whole other thing. Anyway, seemed like a good thing. He was our first president. He did do a lot for us in the wars. It was also the controversy. He was a slave owner. And while that was far more accepted at that time, it's still something we should acknowledge, grapple with, and understand the flaws of our leaders, past, present, and eventually the future, because we all have flaws and things we do that are not good things. I will note, though, in having from some stuff in college, he did free some, not a lot, but some of his slaves, although there was a time where he freed two while Martha was away. When she came back, she's like, no, I like those ones, make them come back. So he took away their freedom. So it was also not good, not great. He like freed two others, and it was not, it's still treating them as less than human beings. But he did do a lot for us through the wars. He's the one who kind of set the two-term presidency as the limit, though that was not law till much, much later, because FDR served more than 2 terms till he died. But yeah, that's where we get that from. So just things to remember and take into account. Anywho, for the very mini history lesson, let's get to making that pie. It's time for another episode of Cooking with Kaitlin. That's me. Enjoy. All right, so I got 2.5 cups of flour. I'm gonna put in there. Then a teaspoon of salt. Actually, I'm gonna dry this. It still has a little water from when I washed it. Don't want that sticking. All right. Then we will, it's going to mainly be using our hands for this, so we're just going to lightly stiff. We've got a stick of butter. It's not room temperature. It's been chilled. It's remained in the fridge. We've chopped it into little pieces. Then a 1/4 cup of lard or vegetable shortening, whichever you got. I used Crisco because that's what we've got. That has been, I measured out, and then we had to put that in the fridge too to chill that. And then, as I have done before when we make pie crust, do it by hand. And this is a common pie crust. This is the kind that they state would have been the likeliest used for any pie made back in this time, the late 1700s. The beginning of America, or the United States. All right, so if you got a pastry chopper, you can use that. Oh, it all sticks. But we're just gonna mesh it with our hands till it's kind of that like coarse, wet sand kind of feel into it. So just doing that. And it really does. It almost feels like that like kinetic sand they make for kids nowadays. That's what it reminds me of. Which is supposed to be like wet sand, so it makes sense. Just getting that all going. Just getting it all kind of nicely in there. Actually, I was reading that they've got pastry blenders that do this now too. But I'd have to know I was going to be making a lot of stuff like this for sure to invest in one of those. I wonder if there's just like an alternate top I could put on the same thing I've got my food processor and blender on. That would be cool. Or an attachment that would for sure do it on my KitchenAid. Other things to research. All right, but see it. There you go. Now, we've had water that we've put in the fridge to chill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we need a 6th, we'll do it. We're gonna get that going. Into pie crust dough. But again, if needed, we can add a little bit more water. It's just seeing if you really, because you don't want it to be like too soggy, or it won't bake quite right. We might need one more. Then after we do this, we're going to separate it into 2. Because we'll need a top and a bottom for it. Here, we're going to add another. And then we're going to refrigerate it for at least an hour before we move on to the next step, up to 2 hours. Actually, if you decide you want to make the dough in advance before you make the pie, you can actually refrigerate it up to 24 hours. If you're making it way in advance, you're going to need to put it in the freezer. They say to refrigerate at least a few hours before baking, so that's what we're doing. So that it all firms up, because we've been warming it up doing this. Yep, 6 tablespoons was right on the money. All right, so I'm just going to separate it and put them in the fridge, and we will check back later in the day. All right, so first we're going to zest a lemon and then juice it into, we've got about 4 or 5 cups of water in there, which is part of our prep. Just getting that all nicely zested. So yeah, right, I'll check back in the next step. All right, so this pot's not on yet, but we're gonna put our zest in there so it's ready for later when we need it. And then we're gonna juice our lemon into our bowl of water. It's good. Okay. All right. All right, let's get and if it doesn't seem like a very juicy lemon, you've got like a bottle of lemon juice, go for it and top off with that. This is just to help, as you'll see in a second. We're gonna put our apple slices in there while we wait to put them into the pie, and it's the water with lemon that's going to keep them from browning. Not like the baked browning that we like, but that, like, you all know, you start eating that apple and you stop for a little while, you get those brown edges that no one wants. So that's what we're doing here. All right, 1 sec. We are using 5 Granny Smith apples. I'm just going to show you with 1 for the slicing. We've peeled it. We're putting all the peels in that pot as well. I've got some water in there. We've already got that lemon zest in there. We're just going to core it. And the cores are going to go into the little saucepan too. Well, it's really more of a medium saucepan. We'll see later what for. All right. There we go. Do the same. Pretty much with this one. Sorry, just easier to do this over the pot so it all just falls right in. Ah. Okay. All right. That's why I'm just showing you the one, as opposed to repeating that over and over. All right, and then we're just slicing them like so. We're going to put them in the water to keep them from browning. All right. All right. Just do that, and then we're going to set our apples to the side in that water and move on to our next step. But I'll check back after I'm done with the rest of my apples. All right. Guys, just realized the mic wasn't on. Save all the peels and cores. This was clove. I have about 8 or 9 of those, and we did half a teaspoon of nutmeg in there. Gonna give it a little stir. We're gonna bring it to a boil, and then get working on our next piece. Sorry for forgetting to turn the mic on. Oh, and I'm also gonna start preheating the oven to 400 while I remember. Right, check back in a sec. All right, took 1/2 out, buttered our pie dish, and we're just pressing it in. Might have needed to bring it out of the fridge for a few minutes before doing this, but it'll be fine. Just doing like we've done with others. Just pressing around the edges as evenly as possible. All right, so just doing this all around. All right, check back in a little bit when I'm done. All right, there it is. Just gonna put it back in the fridge till we need it again. And our other one, I'm just gonna prep it so that it's ready when we put it on top after it's all done. Hang on. Realized if I'm going to put it in the fridge, I needed to have it on something. So instead of a floured countertop, floured plate. And pressing it into that. So it'll be ready to just kind of take off and do. All right, I'll check back in a minute. And this is starting to boil. So I believe at this point what I do is I'm gonna reduce the, are they really? Yeah, they're boiling. Reducing the heat. I'm gonna set my timer for 15 minutes. And then we'll drain, and that's the pot of stuff. Here. Yum. But just gonna let that simmer for about 15 minutes. Then we will start checking back and assembling, well, close to assembling things. All right, there it is. Just gonna go pop that in the fridge too. I'll check back in a bit. All right, now we're gonna get all the stuff out of there and just leave the liquid. Just gonna put them in a Tupperware thing. Just doing that before our next couple steps. Believe it or not, we are getting very close. Very close. Some of it went back in, but that's okay. It'll come back out. All right, I'll pause you guys. We'll check back at the next. All right. Now we're adding a cup of sugar to this. There we go. Yes, there's still some lemon zest in there. That's not bad. I wanted to make sure we got all like the peel and the seeds and whatnot out. All right, now we're gonna, excuse me. We're gonna turn the heat up some, bring it to a boil, then reduce heat, let simmer again. So I'll show you guys when it's boiling. All right, now that it's boiling, see all those nice bubbles? They come right back after we stir. So we're gonna cover, reduce heat, and let simmer 10 to 15 minutes. Then we'll check back. All right. It's good. It's reducing down like we want. It's allegedly gonna leave us with around 2 cups. So pour almost spot on there on the 2 cups. So we're gonna set that off, and then we're gonna, oh, you guys can't see. So we're gonna let this cool for a little bit and move on to the next in a sec. All right, got all our pieces ready to assemble. So we're placing about 1/3 of our apple slices on the bottom. It's gonna take a little bit, so I'll check back when we've done that. All right, we've done about 1/3, so we're gonna do a 1/3 cup of sugar on top, and then we're gonna repeat the process. Check back. All right, so we did the second layer, then another 1/3 cup of the sugar, then the final layer. Now we're pouring on our boiled juice that's cooled some. Just gonna get that in there. They're saying we need that much, but I'm thinking we're kind of, unless we're rearranging a little. It's at its top. All right. All right, we're gonna probably wind up kind of what I'm doing right now. Even though I flour this plate, some of it is still kind of doing its crust. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, so we only used about 1.5 cups, not 2 whole cups. But here we go. Just kind of pinching and pushing. I think if I did this particular crust again, I would do a bit more of the water, maybe even a little bit more of the lard or something. Okay, because it got a lot drier than other crust I have done, which is probably why we have improved our crust making ability over the years. Yeah, kind of pinched together. I'll check back the. All right, so kind of solidified as best we could, which is weird because I'm definitely about to just cut some slits. All right, and actually I think I'll just do a couple down this way. All right, then we're taking 4 tablespoons of chopped butter and just placing it all around the top. Instead of doing a wash, this is what they say to do. So it's what we are doing. But it's not like an egg wash or something, so I guess it'll kind of help make it all nice and golden. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna put this in the oven for, let me double check how long. For 40 to 45 minutes. We will check back then. Here it is. We're going to place it on some wire racks to cool, because if we see that bubbling that's coming out a bit, that would burn, and that would be bad. All right, so we're going to let it cool on a wire rack. You want to let it cool completely before serving. We will be serving this up with our 4th of July celebration meal and all later, and we will be having it with some vanilla ice cream because that just sounds really, really good. You do you though with what you want with it. But yeah, just let it cool completely. If I remember, I'll come back and do that, but in case I forget, busy with the festivities and all, then my apologies. Anyway, bon appetit. We'll see you later.